Hey guys, it is June 7th, 2018, and today is a very special day. I picked some flowers. They're my favorite, orange lilies. I found them growing wild on the side of the road on my way home from school, and so I thought I'd pick some. These flowers are very special to me. For one, they remind me of being little and growing up at my grandmother's house because she had some of these that would bloom every summer. They also remind me of the happiest day of my life, my wedding day. These were my flowers of choice for my wedding day almost 8 years ago. I also picked them to commemorate the saddest day of my life, and I will show you what I mean. March 14th, 2018 will forever go down as the worst, saddest day of my life. That was the day that I lost my first baby. It still stings. And maybe I'll talk about it a little more in depth a little bit later. But right now, Jake and I are on our way to run our first ever 5K, and it couldn't be more fitting or appropriate that the organization that this 5K is benefiting is Heaven's Cradle, and it's an organization that provides support for families who have suffered infant and pregnancy loss. I have a feeling this is going to be a very special night, and this organization is going to become very near and dear to my heart. I'll see you there. On March 14th, 2018, I heard the words that nobody ever wants to hear in their entire life. Sorry, but there's no heartbeat. In an instant, my whole world turned black. And you know, the funny thing, well, not really funny, but for lack of a better word, the strange thing is, before the doctor ever came in, before the ultrasound lady ever put her wand to my stomach, I just had a feeling. I had a feeling that something wasn't right. I was just going in for a regular checkup. It was a regular day. I had been to school that day, and I went straight to the doctor's office after class. It was a regular checkup. But I was so uneasy that day, and like I said, before the woman ever put her wand to my stomach, I just knew. The minute she did, looking at the screen, I just knew. I knew something was wrong. Of course, they're not allowed to say anything while they're doing the ultrasound, which makes the tension in the room 10 times worse. So I sat there and let her press down on me that whole time. And finally, she called the doctor in. And of course the doctor takes his sweet time checking out the screen. It's just silent the whole time, but the whole time, I already knew what was coming. And then he finally uttered the words. And even though I knew something was wrong and I knew what was coming, it didn't make it any one bit easier. Oh, anyway, I will never forget that day in my life. Jake was at work. He wasn't with me that day. It was just a regular checkup. There was really no reason for him to be there. The clinic that I was at a hospital. It was a high-risk clinic. I had to go see those people in addition to my regular doctor because I had developed diabetes at some point, and at that point, we didn't know if it was gestational or type 2 or even adult onset type 1. We had no idea. We just knew that I was diabetic. And so I had to see a high-risk doctor. But up until this point, the baby was fine. But it was growing like it should have been. Heartbeat was great. They told me the heartbeat was strong and everything looked good. That day, it was just a regular checkup. And then I got that news and I had no idea how I was going to make it. I had to call Jake at work to come to the hospital. And I remember it seemed like it took him forever to get there. Oh, but he finally did. And somehow that day we made it home. I'm not sure how. We were both very upset that day. But we did. And for the next probably week and a half, I can barely remember it. I spent every second that I could asleep and unconscious so I wouldn't have to deal with the pain that being awake brought. I didn't want to accept reality. Any moment that I was awake, I spent questioning God, asking Him, why me? Begging Him to take me too, because I didn't want to go on living. And that's a question that I've been asked, a couple of times. Well, when you found out, your baby wasn't alive, didn't you want it out of you as soon as possible? And I imagine a lot of people probably wonder about that aspect of miscarriage. For me, the answer was no. I didn't ever want to be separated from my baby. And the thought of that killed me. It still does. I'm not sure exactly how I made it through that week. That very first week, I'm not sure. I know I left the house at some point because I went and I had surgery. I had a DNC to help take care of the problem. I had to leave the house then. I had that done and I came back, but I didn't go to school. I missed a whole week of school. And thank the Lord for very understanding professors, because without them, I don't know that I would have made it through that semester. Again, I'm not sure how I made it through that first week. but I did. And I won't forget, you know, the moment that everything began to change for me. So we have a treadmill that Jake, my husband, for anyone who may not know, that Jake had bought off of one of those, I think, Facebook resale sites. And it was one of his attempts, you know, a couple years ago. He was going to get fit, and that's how he was going to do it. But until this point, you know, I had never even looked at it, gave it a second thought. You know, that was Jake's thing. That was his. I had never been a runner, and so I'm not exactly sure why I made the decision to get on the treadmill in the first place, but one day I did. And the rest kind of became history. Like, the rest just kind of flew by. I'm not sure what made me get on the treadmill that very first time, but I did. And it took me 18 minutes to run my very first mile on that thing, which is not good. I know. It's kind of a really bad number, actually. But I was not concerned with the amount of time, you know, at that moment in time. What I was concerned about, and what I did notice after that first time, was for the first time in what felt like forever, you know, I had a moment of clarity. You know, for the first time in what felt like forever, I noticed how blue the sky was. It was springtime. It was a very pretty day that day. The sky was blue. Everything was blooming outside. It was gorgeous. It felt good to have that moment of clarity. And I did not want that feeling to end. So I spent the next about 3 months chasing that feeling. I ran every single day. Anytime I felt the darkness from that first week start to set back in, I ran. If I ever felt anything less than okay, I was running. As Forrest Gump would say, I was running. As time went on, however, it became less about me chasing that good feeling and more about health for me and getting fit. I had decided that by the end of the year, I wanted to run my first 5K, which is crazy in itself to think about, because up until this point, I would have never dreamed about doing that. But I decided that I wanted to try it by the end of the year. Now, like I said, I am completely new to the world of running, and I have no idea about any of these things or how any of these things work. So I made a Facebook post, you know, asking people about different 5Ks and what might be a good first one to try for me. And so an old friend of mine from high school, her name is Sarah. Hi Sarah, if you're watching this. She reached out to me and told me about a race that she was running in about a week's time from that post. It was benefiting Heaven's Cradle, which is an organization in Jackson, Tennessee that helps provide support for families who are dealing with infant loss in some way. Like I said, the race was happening in about a week from the time of that post. And so that was a lot sooner than I had expected to run a race. You know, I didn't feel like I was ready. However, I could not have picked a more perfect race or a more perfect organization to benefit for my very first time. So I signed up for it. And it was even more special because Jake signed up for it with me. And that was both of our first time running a 5K. Now, like I said, I had not trained appropriately, or I had not been running very long at that point. It had been about 3 months. And also, by the time we had started that race, I had hurt my leg and wasn't able to run the entire thing like I had wanted to. So me and Jake and I, we walked for most of it. We ran a little bit, walked for most of it, but we finished it. And to me, that's the important thing. And of course, you know, as I'm crossing the finish line, I can't help but to think of my own baby in heaven, and without him or her, because I'll never know, none of that would have been possible. And yes, I miss my baby every single day of my life, and I think I always will. But without their death, I never would have realized my potential or gotten into the best shape of my life. I will be forever indebted to somebody I'll never meet because of that. And so I will spend the rest of my days running and running to the end of life so I can one day meet my baby. Alright, we made it to the farmer's market, which is here in Jackson, Tennessee, and the starting point of this race. Don't really know where we're supposed to go, but I guess we'll figure it out pretty soon. Ribbons in honor of baby Edelman, and we got our numbers. We are ready to go, counting down the minutes till we start. I think Jake's getting more nervous by the minute. It's a little warm out here. I still think we'll be fine. It's a really somber experience, I guess. It's hard not to get choked up. Well, folks, it's about 20 minutes until race time. They just said we'll be calling you, or they'll be calling us into the chute, which is this little blue thing, any minute. It's getting closer and closer. Jake's getting nervouser and nervouser. Yeah, me too. It's really hot out here. But you gotta stay hydrated, folks. That's the key. I'm anxious to see how we do.
Yeah, boy, what about it, what about it, what about it, what about it? We're about 17 minutes away from race start time.
Well, we're almost done with the race. We're jamming Pam it up in here right now. We are bringing up the rear. Oh no, we're last. So sad. Okay, there's like 2 people behind us.
There's a whole group of people behind us. It's just, we're in the back of the line, but we're not last.
Why are you so offended?
Because I don't finish anything last.
I do, and I'm proud of it.
So.
The main thing is we're finishing.
Yeah.
I'm proud of us.
This is the first I'd heard about this organization. It's
Heaven's
Cradle, and it's all about doing like counseling, and I'm not really sure what all they do, but I know like what they do all goes to, you know, parents who lost children, you know, due to miscarriages and everything. So yeah, it's really really important to us, you know, and seems like a really great organization, and I'm really proud to be doing this right now, you know, because it really hits us home. So
hits home for us.
Yeah,
hits us home. Whatever.
And it's pretty amazing too, because, you know, whenever something like that happens to you, you know, you kind of feel like you're all alone in the world, and you know, but when you come to a thing like this and you see, I mean, there's literally, you know, 1,000 people or more, you know, running in the race and volunteering and just, you know, participating, you know, it really shows you how many families it's affected, you know, not just you. And so that's a good thing.
Well, we're finishing in under an hour. Woo! Which is really good. Well,
we did it.
We finished our first 5K in 58 minutes. And how long?
Let's just say 58.
Okay, 58
Beat
minutes.
that, suckers.
Yeah,
Bet you can't.
We're so bad. Actually, now it's
we're
supper
enjoying
time.
a delicious barbecue and baked beans and barbecue chips lunch provided by the organization here. So yeah.
Yeah, very, very good. Now you made me forget what I was gonna say. Oh yes, it's supper time. Super ready for it. I think we earned it. Anyway, I'm pretty proud of our time. Definitely not good, not the best at all, by any stretch of the imagination. But I'm proud of us for getting through our first one, getting through it together, and I think under an hour is pretty good for our first one. Not everybody's gonna think so, but I think so. Well, we are on our way home from our first 5K, and one of the saddest, most humbling experiences probably of our lives to date. I definitely would love to be more involved with Heaven's Cradle and organizations similar to that. It was just overwhelming thinking of how, you know, miscarriage, pregnancy loss, infant loss has touched the lives of almost everybody that was there tonight. It's mind-boggling to think that it happens to so many people, but people just don't talk about it. They're ashamed to talk about it. I don't know what the reason is, but it's very sad. But at the same time, it was comforting because like Jake said, it makes you feel like you're not alone. I think we're both in agreement that we would like to do more 5Ks in the future. I think that's what you said, that you would like to do more.
Yep.
We need to do a little more training though. Running's hard, but it feels so good. Maybe in a year we can do this one again and see how far we've come. That would be cool. Miscarriage. It's a word nobody wants to hear. It's a word nobody talks about, really. But at the same time, it's a word people tend to take really lightly until it happens to them or it affects them personally at some point in their life. I know, because I was the same way. And when it did happen to me, I finally understood. And there's no comfort from others, even though they try, and they try really hard. People mean so well. People come from, the best place that they know how, and they say things that are comforting to them, maybe, or, maybe they don't know what to say. I don't know. But they'll say things like, oh, there's a reason for everything, or it was all part of God's plan. And that's a really tough pill to swallow. It was God's plan for me to finally get pregnant after 8 years of marriage, and then to rip it away from me, and for me to never get to meet my baby. That was His plan. It was His plan for that to happen to me while watching, seemingly everyone else around me get pregnant and have successful pregnancies, and for me to get on Facebook every day and see all of their cute little updates and how happy they were. That was His plan for me. People would say things, like, it's not your fault. But to me, doesn't the term miscarriage kind of place fault on the woman? Miscarriage, you miscarried your baby. There's something wrong with you. You didn't do it right. You failed somehow. Miscarriage. Another thing people say, oh, it'll make you stronger. You're going to be so much stronger because of this. Well, maybe that's true. Maybe it is true. But you know what? I would rather be weak and have my baby than be a strong person without my baby. That's just the truth of the matter. And I think that if it had never happened for Jake and me, if for some reason we were never able to get pregnant, if I had never been able to feel those symptoms, to go to those appointments, to see my little baby moving around on a screen, during the ultrasounds, to see their little arms and legs moving all over the place, to hear the heartbeat. If none of that had ever happened for me, I think I would have been okay. I think I could have accepted that it was never supposed to happen for me. But I did go through all of that. I did have all the symptoms. I felt and saw my body changing. I saw my little baby. I saw them kicking and moving their little arms. I saw their heartbeat. I heard their heartbeat. They were perfect.
And then one day, I know, buddy. And then one day, they were just gone. And from now on, hey buddy, I will never be the same. I have to go the rest of my life wondering who they would have been. What our lives would have been like. Right now, it's August. And it's so tough for me because at this point in time, in 2 months, I would have a baby in my arms right now. In 2 months, I would have a baby in my arms. And that's not gonna happen for me. And I'm okay now. You know, I'm able to live life pretty normally. You know, I smile and I laugh. I can get out of the house. You know, I'm capable of having a good day. But I'll never be the same person that I was before this happened to me. I know there are people out there who have gone through multiple miscarriages, you know, or they've made it all the way through a pregnancy only to lose their baby after they were born, or their babies, you know, were stillborn. I can't even fathom the pain of any of those situations because I know how painful this one thing has been for me. It's a pain that's indescribable and that I would never wish on my worst enemy, ever. For anybody out there that may be going through a miscarriage or infant loss of any kind, my heart goes out to you. Please know that you're not alone. Please know that there are people out there who care and who you can reach out to anytime you need to. Please take care of yourself and seek out help if you need it. Please know that better days are ahead and that the sun will shine again. You will have normal days again. It's just a new type of normal. You'll probably never go back to the person that you were before. Sorry for the negative video this time. It's just something that I've had in my heart and that, you know, I want to get out there and finally attempt to move past it. I don't know what the future holds, but I'm just going to keep living one day at a time. And I'm going to pray that one day Jake and I will be able to experience the joy and happiness that a baby can bring. Once again. Until next time. Thanks, guys.